All right, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. I hope everybody is doing great on this Wednesday evening here. It is starting to get a little bit warm where I am here in New York. We had a couple of cold, rainy days earlier this week. We were in the 60s and it was just nasty. Today, it was in the 80s and muggies and nasty in a completely different type of way. But that's New York for you. So I'm happy to be here. I hope you guys are excited to be here as well. As usual, I've got a pretty packed show for you guys tonight. I know a lot of you are probably here because you saw the thumbnail, you saw the title of the show. What is your dream cab? And of course, we're going to get into all of that a little bit later on tonight. Of course, I've got some news and some different things that I want to cover with you guys as well. I'm going to hopefully run through that stuff fairly quick because I do want to leave a lot of time, at least half the show, to really talk about this main topic. And then, as usual, try to get this through by 9 o'clock, get you guys on your way, whether you want to call it a night and enjoy the rest of your evening, or head on over to Arcades Anonymous, who will be doing their show at 9 o'clock tonight. As usual, I do have this show set to just redirect you guys right over to Arcades Anonymous right afterwards, so you don't even have to do anything. You can just move right on over to them and check them out. Let's jump in and let's start to say hi to some people who are in the chat here. And of course, I know people will be joining as the show progresses. We'll try to say hi to them as we go. But first off, hold on. My chat is jumping on me today. What is going on? There we go. We got Calvin Wong saying hello. We got Steve Sale here. Always good to see you, buddy. We got the Cornercade. The Cornercade is in the house. Let's go, guys. Wednesday is here. That's right. Wednesday is here. We got Biggity's Arcade. Hey, Bill and chat. Good to see you as well. J-Rod is also here saying hi. We've got Mark's Mental Arcade, who wants to know when the rare tables will come out from AtGames. And at this point, it's anybody's guess. We've got JJ here as well. Hey, Bill's Retro Gaming Show. How's your Wednesday? Howdy, chat. Wednesday's doing pretty good. This was one of my days to actually be in my office for work. I think I've mentioned this a couple of times in the past that I usually go into my little tiny work office. We have this little area in Armonk, New York. It's a small building that can only fit a couple of people in it, really, because we got rid of our big office space during COVID. And I go there like once a week just to kind of get out of this house, just to collab a little bit. So today was my day to do that, which was not a great day to go in, but I went anyway, and it was still pretty good. Hockeytown Arcade is here. Howdy, Bill and chat. Don't forget to smash that like button. Thank you so much for letting people know to do that. Absolutely. Go ahead and hit that like button. Whether you like the show or not, it definitely helps out things with the channel. Ted Adam Green is here. Always good to see you, buddy. I'm just going to build my own dream cab slowly but surely. That's probably the best way to go. But like I said, we're going to have a little fun with this tonight. I'll kind of tell you what I'm thinking, give you some of the ground rules such as they are. When we get into that in a little bit. Oh, Retro Randy, just recently found your channel and subscribed. Thank you so much, Retro Randy. Good to see you. Glad you are here joining us tonight. All right, so like I said, I will say hi to more people as the show progresses, as people start to jump in. But let's dive in. Let's talk about a little bit of gaming news and some things that have been going on this week. Again, it's been a pretty packed week. There's been a lot of stuff. Pardon me while I take a quick sip and wet my whistle. There's been a lot of stuff going on lately, and just a couple of things that I wanted to throw out there to you guys, some of which you may be aware of, some of which you may not be aware of. But let's go ahead. Let's start with this. And I'm sure a lot of you have seen this already. This is the Golden Tee Arcade Classics. Now, this is a collaboration with Atari and I believe Digital Eclipse that are going to be putting this out. Of course, this is the Golden Tee games from Incredible Technologies. Oh, James Hates Everything is here. Stick around. I want to talk about you in a little bit, and in good with good stuff. So stick around. As a matter of fact, maybe I'll just get to that right after this, just for fun, since you are here. Golden Tee Arcade Classics. This is something that's actually going to be coming out for consoles. Let me bring this up real quick. I can kind of play this while I'm talking. So I guess a lot of you guys know about the console, not the console, the machines from Arcade 1-Up, the Golden Tee machines. We know New Wave Toys is coming out with one as well. Theirs is set to release, I believe, in October. It's finally going to be getting into people's hands. This is a set of 8 of those games that's going to be available for consoles. You're going to be able to play this on your PlayStation, your Xbox, Switch, on PC through Steam or Galaxy of Games. And it looks interesting. I do like these games. I know some people like Golden Tee, some people not so much. I'm really curious to see how this is supposed to work with this digital trackball that it's supposed to have to play this. Actually, I would be curious to see if you can just plug a trackball into your console or your PC or whatever and play it that way as well. That would be kind of interesting to me, especially with Glenn's control deck coming out for New Wave Toys. Now, it's just a USB controller, that Bluetooth and USB, that is meant to work with the New Wave Toys mini console, the Replicate that's coming out. Be curious to see if I can plug that into a PlayStation or my PC or whatever and actually play these games the way they're meant to be played with a real trackball. I'm definitely going to have to check that out. No, you know what? I did see your comment earlier. It didn't show up in my little chat list as I got the show started, but the Be Me is here. Good to see you. Thank you for coming on back and shouting out again. He did mention that his dream cab is going to be the Glenn's FU that he does with I think you said Star Wars art on it, which would be kind of cool. But again, we'll talk about that in just a little bit. And good to see you. John is here as well. Good to see you. All right, so moving right along, I don't want to take too much time on that. Again, I know a lot of you guys have seen this news already. So Golden Tee Arcade Classics, if you're interested in this, it's going to be coming out digitally on July 17th with physical versions on October 24th. So go ahead and check this out. $30, I don't see how you can go wrong if you like golf. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is this. I wonder how many of you guys have seen this. One of the best arcade platformers of the last few years is getting a sequel. So for those of you who are not familiar with Donut Dodo, Donut Dodo was definitely one of the standout games for the unfortunately now defunct iArcade. This game really had that nostalgic pull to it. If you like platformers like Donkey Kong and games like that, this game really hit that retro nostalgia itch. And it looks like they're going to be releasing a sequel to it. Now, this is just in the startup phase. I believe they're developing it now. This is going to come out for consoles and PC and all that kind of stuff. You can actually wishlist this right now on Steam, I believe. It's a shame. It's a shame that we're not going to be able to put this on an iArcade unless this comes through itch.io and people can sideload it, like with the mystery arcade thing, whatever it's called. Again, I'm blanking out on what they call that thing. But this actually looks really cool. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of the original Donut Dodo. So more Donut Dodo is absolutely a good thing. So I'm actually looking forward to checking this out. This looks like I'm curious to see more of this. Of course, we've got a couple of screenshots here while they're working on this. This is going to have like a carnival feel to it, whereas the first one had that, like donut factory kind of feel to it. This is going to have more of a carnival feel. So it looks like it could be a lot of fun. Definitely excited to check this one out. We got a few more people joining us in the chat. Thor KC is here. The GRS arcade stick should work as long as the game lets you change controllers and remap controls. That's what I'm hoping. So I'm getting the GRS control panel when it comes out with the Golden Tee. I did pre-order that. So I may have to pick up that Golden Tee collection just to test that out. We will see. Well, that was my nickname throughout childhood. Now it's my son Johnny's nickname, John. Okay, very cool. Brooklyn Menace is here. Always good to see you. Oh, I almost forgot. Thank you for reminding me, James Hates Everything, that Jason Lillian is, of course, here as well. My moderator, good buddy. It's amazing how much he does for everybody. You guys really have no idea how involved he is in so many shows and so many streams, and he just does it. And it's amazing. So, Jason, always good to have you here. All right. I'm going to switch gears for a second. I was going to do this a little bit later in the show, but James, I know you're here. I'm hoping you're going to stick around for the whole show, but I just want to throw this out there really, really quick. If you guys have not seen this video yet, you have got to check this out. I've got the sound down on it. I'm only going to play just a little bit of it, but this is James Hates Everything's latest video. This is Trooper PD7 Walkabout Episode 1. Like I said, I'm going to sound down because I don't want to spoil it. I'm only going to play a few seconds of it. It's only a little over 2 minutes long, but guys, if you haven't checked out this video yet, it's only 2 minutes long. Go check it out. James has been doing some really wild stuff with AI, and I know people have mixed feelings about AI and stuff like that, but like, you'd be surprised how much work actually goes into making some of these AI videos and things like that. It's not just, tell it what to do and it does it. You do have to know the right words to say, how to tweak it, how to get it just right, play around with it. And I'm sure there's some other editing that goes into it. But guys, check out James Hates Everything's video, Trooper PD7 Walkabout Episode 1. He just posted it a little while ago, earlier today. Go check it out. It's a lot of fun. So I just wanted to bring that up really quick because, I just thought it was worth it was worth pointing out to people. All right. Now we want to talk about a couple of things that are not great news, but I want to bring them up in case people aren't aware or haven't seen this. So first off, let's talk about this. So I know a lot of you have picked up your Switch 2. I don't know how many of you are aware of the MIG Flash cartridge. Now, the MIG Flash cartridge is a device that lets you basically load your Switch games or your Switch 2 games, multiple games on a single cartridge to play this on your Switch without having to switch cartridges all the time. It's meant to be a backup device for your own games, okay? It's not necessarily meant for piracy or to pirate games to play on your Switch 2. Although obviously some people are going to try to use it that way. But there are people who have bought this thing with the idea legitimately of backing up their own games and then playing them off of this cart, like I said, so that they don't have to switch constantly back and forth. Well, it looks like if you're trying to do that on your Switch 2, you're going to have a little bit of a hard time because Nintendo is not necessarily bricking consoles that use the MIG switch, the MIG cart, but if they notice that you're using it, they can ban you from all online features, meaning you won't be able to download anything from the eShop. You won't be able to play games online. You won't be able to play any of the older games that require internet access. If you try to factory reset your device and then log on to your account, you're basically going to find that it is in effect bricked, because without internet access, you can't sign on to your account. So if you have one of these MIG flash cartridges, or if you were thinking about getting one, unfortunately, you might want to think twice before picking one up to use on a Switch 2. So I'm just putting that out there to people in case they don't know about it. Just be wary. Hey, Goofyfoot, good to see you as well. And yes, James does love himself a little Kathleen Kennedy. Don't we all? Mike Hawk Hertz is here. I don't disagree with Nintendo doing this, to be honest. I get the thought behind it, because they're trying, obviously, to thwart the idea of piracy. The problem is there's no way to tell whether or not that's what you're doing, or whether or not you're using it for what should be legitimate reasons. If you want to back up games you've legally bought and play them through this device, you really should be able to. But I do get it. I do understand what they're doing here. Can you return the Switch 2 if that happened? You could try. From what I do understand, it is limited to the device that you use this on. So theoretically, I don't know how ethical that would be, because then, unless you just take it back and say it's broken or whatever, so that they don't resell it to somebody. But if you got a second Switch, you'd probably be okay, because I do believe it is it's not based on your account. It's actually based on the device you use it on. If I'm, sorry, I hit the arm there. If I'm reading the article, correct me. Sorry, that's my Italian background with the arms flailing like that. So that is something to keep in mind. Hey, B. Kirby, the Chicago arcade guy. Always good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Definitely appreciate it. Break the systems to come back to VR. I think that must be towards all the people who have been playing more Mario Kart than they have Walkabout Golf lately. Joystick is here, just stopping by. My dream cab is pole position, and I own it. Good for you. My second dream cabinet is Hang On, and I own it. My third dream cabinet is Afterburner. And so basically what you're saying, Joysticks, is you already own all your dream cabs, so you're good to go. That's awesome, though. I love that. That is so cool. I'm learning from you, Cornercade. I'm learning from you how to be excited and hyped. Yeah, Fat Hog 13. Definitely don't buy one from Marketplace, because you at this point you just don't know. That is for sure. All right, another piece of semi-bad news that I wanted to bring up before getting back to some fun stuff is, for those of you who have been following the Evercade Super Pocket handhelds, the new one, the new Neo Geo one, and the new Data East Super Pocket, these were both actually supposed to come out this month. Well, it looks like they've been delayed by about a month. So as of right now, these are now scheduled to come out on July 10th. I don't know that they necessarily gave a reason for the delay. Maybe it had something to do with tariffs and things changing when it comes to tariffs. But it looks like if you have pre-ordered one of the Neo Geo or Data East Super Pockets, or if you were waiting for them to go become available from Funstock or any of the places that sell them, you're going to have to wait just a little bit longer, because these are now set to come out in another month on July 10th. So just wanted to put that out there again to you guys in case you didn't see the news, so you are aware. Hey, Bill and Chat from Gramps Arcade. Good to see you. Thank you so much for stopping by. Absolutely appreciate it. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything big in the chat here as we move on. All right, now, speaking of handhelds, if you guys saw my show last week, and if you didn't, shame on you. Go back and rewatch it. I did talk about this. This is the new RG Slide from Anbernic. I'm a big fan of Anbernic and their handheld devices. I've got several of them already. This is one I've been keeping my eye on. This is one that I'm considering checking out. Have to wait and see. I do like the look and the aesthetic of it. It's meant to mimic the PSP Go on it. But one thing that we didn't know when I talked about it last week was what the price was going to be. Now, I had thought that this would be close in price to another one of their devices, the RG Cube, because the specs on this are basically the same as the RG Cube. The biggest difference here, aside from, the look and the slide mechanic, is the screen. It's a bigger screen with a better resolution. So I thought that would probably equate to a higher price. And it looks like I was right and pretty close to what I thought it was going to be. Now, the RG Cube, which is this one right here, and I actually own this. I like this one. This is probably one of my favorite ones. The RG Cube sells for right around $169.99 normally. You can get it on sale right now for about $138. But the RG Slide is going to come in at about $20 more, $189.99, with an initial sale price of $179.99. So about $20 more expensive than the RG Cube. And when you consider the changes to the screen and the look of this and whatever, I guess that does make sense. So this is one I'm going to have to consider. I don't know if I'm going to jump on it right away. I might wait and see if some better sales come down the road. Like I said, for instance, I'm pretty sure I paid more than $138 for the Cube when I bought it. I probably got it at about a $10 or $15 discount when it first launched, like they're doing with the Slide. So I may wait on this for a better sale price down the road. But now we actually know the price of this. So if this is a device you've been considering getting, now you know the price. On sale, $179.99 when it launches. And the launch for this is going to be June 20th. So a couple of days from now. All right. Let me see what else is going on in the chat real quick here. Xbox and PS have systems in place that will ban you if they detect wrongdoing. True, but I guess the only thing I would say there is either it doesn't happen that often or we just don't really hear about it. It's funny how everybody has been making a big deal about the banning, the potential bricking on the Switch, but you're right. Nobody really talks that much about PlayStation and Xbox, even though technically speaking in their licensing agreement or whatever you want to call it, that is true that they do reserve the right to do a lot of this too. It's just you never really hear about it. So we got going on here. The RG Slide looks so cool, but I've already got too many handheld devices. The most power of which is an Anbernic 505. Yep. So probably a no-go for me. Understood. Absolutely. Like I said, same. I own like 3 of these devices right now. Each one a little more power. Actually, 4. I now have 4 of these right now because I'm a sucker for these damn things. And I keep buying different ones with the different look and feel for different purposes. I do like the Slide because it's an Android device like the Cube. I like the bigger, more widescreen look of it as opposed to that 1x1 screen that the Cube has. So again, it's something that I would consider just because it may suit different needs. But again, we will wait and see. It doesn't happen on PS and Xbox because Make Switch is a commercially available product that makes it easier. Good point. It's definitely a good point. Although, like you said, we all know that there are other ways to do things for sure. I mean, how many people have gotten into the system on Xbox to run RetroArch and things like that? I don't know if that necessarily, voids your agreement with them or not. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but we know people do stuff like that. So something to keep in mind. I need to do some inventory on my handhelds before buying a new one. Just read that email about yeah, that's a shame. It's a shame that but you know what? It's only a month. I mean, let's face it, a lot of other things have been delayed a lot longer than that. So, hopefully those of you who've been waiting on this, you can deal with the slight 1 month delay. All right, come close on time. I'm going to run through these last couple of things really, really quick. Walkabout Golf fans. We got a new course coming out on, when is this? June 26th. So next week, next Thursday, I think it is. Crystal Lair. So I'm excited for this. Big fan of Walkabout Golf. Love playing this with a bunch of the guys in the community here. This is another one of their Lair courses. If you're familiar with Walkabout Mini Golf, they've got courses in different themes. The Lairs are, for the evil geniuses out there. So I'm excited to see more of this. Hopefully this is fun. Get in on the magnetic fun. So obviously there's going to be something with magnets in this. Hopefully it's not, kind of like the Upside Down one was, but it's going to be interesting to see how magnets play into a course on Walkabout. So very excited to check this out. All right. Moving right along. AtGames. And yes, I am getting animated because I'm trying to run through this shit real quick. Pardon me. It looks like, for those of you who were wondering if the Tomb Raiders pinball from Zen Studios was going to launch with the AtGames on June 19th, like it is for PC and other devices. It does look like, as of right now, that's true. We will have to wait and see what actually happens tomorrow. I know there are still some issues going on with AtGames, which I'll talk about in just a second. Hopefully this doesn't get delayed because of that. Unfortunately, we have seen delays from them recently with things like this getting announced and then either not coming out like right away when it's supposed to. A lot of times these things get delayed till like later on in the day or maybe the next day at the worst. Again, other than, without getting into the whole, Battletoads and KI thing and whatever, I'm talking about just something simple like this being announced. Hopefully everything goes as planned and this can come out tomorrow. So those of you with your 4K devices, if you want to check out Tomb Raider Pinball, you can. This is going to be a $15 pack. I believe it's... I believe the Tomb Raider, it's 2 tables. Yeah, The Adventures of Lara Croft and Secrets of Croft Manor. So this is a $15 pack for 2 tables. Now, in terms of... hang on here. In terms of issues, let me just bring this up real quick. So, AtGames is still having some issues with their devices here. They put this out just a little while ago. Dear community, we'll continue providing updates on ongoing technical issues affecting Legends 4K and HD devices. While some fixes have been implemented, a full resolution may require additional time. Our team remains fully committed to restoring all functionality as quickly as possible. So the current issues being addressed are QR sign-in features still not working for everybody, although supposedly fixed for 4K and CEHD devices. Legends account sign-ins. Some users may still encounter sign-in issues on certain Legends HD devices. I will tell you, I have not had a chance recently to go on my Pinball HD and try this. As of last week, it still wasn't working, so I have not had a chance to check it out myself. Supposedly, they've resolved issues with Arcade, Net, Web Legends Leaderboard, and Legends 4K pinball machines getting the now loading pop-up. Says no need to submit a ticket. They know stuff is still going on, yada, yada, yada. That's AtGames. So hopefully they will continue to get this stuff sorted out over the next couple of days. And like I said, hopefully things will work out and that Tomb Raider pinball will actually launch on time. Oh, MG is here. Good evening, Retro Bill. Just want to drop by and wish you a wonderful stream this evening. MG, thank you so much. Absolutely appreciate that. MG, one of my good buddies. Love playing Walkabout. We were just talking about that new course coming out in another week. Definitely enjoy playing Walkabout Mini Golf with him and a bunch of other people. He is definitely a lot of fun to hang out with and play golf with. He's quite the pisser. Definitely loves busting chops, busting balls, but it's all in good fun, and we always have a blast whenever we play. Hey, P-Dubs Arcade Loft is here. He's talking boobies on the back glass. So absolutely, yes, with Tomb Raider, that is something to look forward to. I'm curious to see from some of you guys what the back glass is going to look like. I don't have a 4K device, so I can't check that out. However, I do believe it's also supposed to come to Pinball VR, so I may pick it up for that because I do want to check out these Tomb Raider tables. They do look like a lot of fun. Let's see. Love me some Tomb Raider. I'll get it for Steam and maybe Switch 2 if it's available, but I have no 4K devices. Yep, it's a shame. I know for sure. Let's see what else we got going here. We got everybody saying hi to each other. Hopefully you guys are seeing all of that in the chat. All right. Am I done with the news? Am I done with the news? No, I got one last thing, and then we move on to the main topic. And this actually leads into the main topic. So before I get into this, I got to give a couple of quick shout-outs. This is a little bit of Arcade 1-Up news, and then, like I said, this is going to lead right into the rest of the show. But a couple of quick shout-outs. First off, I got to give a shout-out to Michael B. the Game Genie, who mentioned this in a video just the other day. This news actually comes through another member of the community, Jim the Pacers fan, who had posted the information I'm about to share on Michael B's Discord. So that's where that came from. Also want to give another shout-out. I know he's still in the chat here, to James Hates Everything, because he brought up something in regards to this that I actually agree with. It was actually one of the first things I thought of when this news popped up, but he was one of the guys to throw it out there first on Discord and YouTube, at least that I saw, to mention this. So I want to give a shout out to him so that people don't think I'm stealing this idea from him. Anyway, this is some import news for some things coming in from Tastemakers, Arcade 1-Up. We can see that they've just had a bunch of machines come into the ports, more Fast and the Furious cabs, more Mortal Kombat 2 Classic SEs, but also this one, which we haven't seen before, which is the Big Buck Hunter Mossy Oak Deluxe arcade machine. Now, there already is, of course, a Big Buck Hunter Deluxe arcade machine from Arcade 1-Up, but this new one is branded as Mossy Oak Deluxe. So again, another deluxe machine. So what the hell does Mossy Oak mean? Well, Mossy Oak is a brand, primarily a clothing brand, although I do think they have other gear and whatever. This is obviously an outdoors brand, hunting, fishing, camping, all that kind of stuff. Think Bass Pro Shop, think Dick's Sporting Goods. It's that kind of store. So the prevailing theory here, like I said, I thought of this when I saw the news, but James Hates Everything's the first guy I saw to actually post this out there. So again, I want to give the hat tip to him, of course, is that this Big Buck Hunter cab that's coming out is most likely another collab cab. So it's probably exactly the same as the current Big Buck Hunter Deluxe that's already been out for a while, but going to have Mossy Oak branding on it. So if you thought this was going to be something new, maybe some new Big Buck Hunter games, anything like that, chances are it's another collab cab with a outdoorsy clothing brand. Mossy Oak wasn't one that I had really heard of before. Like I said, I'm familiar with Bass Pro Shop. I'm familiar with Dick's Sporting Goods, stores like that. The name kind of rang a bell, and when I heard it, I was like, that sounds kind of familiar, and quick Google search found this. So this is most likely what that cab is going to be. So take that for what it is. Again, we've talked about the fact that it doesn't seem like Arcade 1-Up is really coming out with anything new before the end of the year, except they had mentioned a Pac-Man pub table was possibly going to come out, possibly through Costco and stuff like that. Nothing else was really mentioned, but it does sound like this is something that is obviously coming out at some point this year if they've already gotten some into the port. So we'll just have to wait and see exactly what this thing looks like. But there you go. Yet another collab cab for them. And not necessarily a bad thing for Arcade 1UP. Anytime they can do these kind of things that maybe brings some advertising money their way. Who knows? Maybe Mossy Oak is paying them to put this branding on their cabs and get it out there. If it brings in money for them, we'll have to see what that means for Arcade 1UP in the future. Let me just make sure. I'm kind of backed up on the chat here. Let me make sure I am not. A retro Tomb Raider would have been. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, something that had that look and feel of the original Tomb Raiders. We all love our square boobies. Not square, triangle. We all love our triangle boobies. So that would have been something that would have been interesting to see before. It's very important that AtGames has Tomb Raider launch day and date with the other editions. I would tend to agree with that. They've had enough bad press and bad issues lately that this would be a good win for them, especially if people are actually able to load it on their machines and play it. That's for sure. Michael B. really has been producing a lot of quality work recently. I think his YouTube career is really going to take off. Maybe we'll have to wait and see. $5 super chat from Jason Lillian. Thank you so much. As always, of course, you don't have to do that, but I certainly appreciate it. I never used to like moss, but now it's starting to grow on me. $5 just for that dad joke. And I'm all for it. Awesome. Thanks, Jason. Definitely appreciate it. Oh, that's pretty funny. That is definitely pretty funny. I could not find any Imperial Blue milk. So disappointing. Guys, if you missed it earlier in the show, I did give a shout out to James Hates Everything's latest AI-produced video. It's a lot of fun. Definitely go ahead and check it out. All right. Oop, hang on. B. Kirby jumping in with 10 gift memberships to the channel. Thank you so much, man. I swear, you do this like every stream. I appreciate it, brother. You don't have to do it, but thank you so much. Congratulations to all of you who got memberships. S. Shrek, Dark Death Rider TV, Skyhook71, Paul Eckert, Andrew Barraza, Demiser. Oh, Nerd Lounge Master 64. Awesome. Congratulations to you guys, and thank you so much to B. Kirby. Couple more people in the chat here. Marcus Gurley, Ominous Ozzy also received gift memberships. Tony C got a gift membership. Israel Gaming is here. I'm a wild boy. Call me Steve-O. What's up, Wild Bill in chat? Good to see you. Good to see you. There's a few error shapes, but I decided not to point them out. You're a gentleman and a scholar, MG. All right, let's get into this. All right, because it's already gone longer than I wanted to before getting into this. So let's have a little bit of fun for the rest of the show. What is your dream cab? So I kind of put this a little bit in the description tonight. Obviously, 2025 hasn't been the greatest when it comes to home arcade releases. Fortunately, not much different than the last couple of years. However, hopefully that is going to change as the year progresses. We know that Iconic Arcade, they're coming out with their Street Fighter cabs later this year. They were, of course, originally supposed to come out in June, got pushed back to October. Hopefully everything stays with that and they can actually release them later on this year. We've got Basic Fun, which we're just now starting to see things from them. And again, hopefully a lot of these will actually start to come out before the end of the year, and we'll start to see some of these. Arcade went up, we know the deal there. I just talked about that. We get this big Buck Hunter thing coming out. We got possibly this pub table coming out. So nothing super exciting there. However, there's movement. There's movement on the home arcade scene, and that's a good thing. And we're starting to see some things come out that I think people for a little while thought might not ever be possible. And you think about Iconic Arcade and what they're bringing to the table. For years we've been seeing Street Fighter 2 cabs from Arcade 1-Up. They've released multiple cabs with different versions of Street Fighter 2, same versions, over and over again, of course. Now we see somebody finally bringing us something different with Street Fighter Alpha on it. Something that we had hoped Arcade 1-Up would do and never did. And then, of course, when you talk about Basic Fun, bringing out a cab like WrestleFest, again, something that I think a lot of us for a long time thought wasn't going to be possible for a number of reasons. WWF being gone, it's now WWE. The wrestlers on it and things. Would it be the real game? Would it be a pardon the phrase, a bastardized version of the game, kind of like what they wound up having to do with Blitz, being Blitz Legends instead of the real arcade game there. But it looks like they're doing it, and it looks like for the most part it is going to be the actual arcade game. Now, whether or not they have to make some art changes to the ROM to take off the WWF logo on the mat, we'll have to wait and see. I have seen pictures of some renders that show the mat with the full WWF logo on it. Whether or not those are just renders or not, and the real full game, we're going to have to wait and see. My contention is I think they're going to alter the ROM. I don't think they're going to actually have the WWF logo on the mat. I think they're going to change it. But if that's the only change they make, it's not that bad. So let's have a little fun tonight. My original thought here was, do I want to keep this realistic, or do I want to just throw caution to the wind and have fun and let people just go wild with their thoughts tonight? And I figured, screw it. Let's just go wild. Let's have some fun. Because let's face it. If you saw the thumbnail, I put some cabs on there that are the ones that people bring up all the time. And I know Michael B, the Game Genie, is here, and he brings up two of the ones that are on my thumbnail, Robotron and Donkey Kong. Of course, Cubert is on there as well. Cubert, Cubert, Robotron, Donkey Kong. I think some people would like Robocop. Are certainly ones that a lot of people would love to see. Now, while I do believe it's certainly possible that somebody could come out with a Cubert, or we've moved on and we're talking about movements. Well, stay with me, damn it. See, you killed my train of thought again. While I do think it's possible that somebody could actually do a Cubert or a Robotron, we know that it's highly unlikely that we will ever see anybody come out with a real licensed Donkey Kong cab. It's just, Nintendo doesn't like to play nice with people. It's probably never going to happen. But you know what? Let's talk about it anyway. Let's have some fun. Guys, in the chat, I want you guys to tell me, if one of these companies was to come out with a particular cab that you want, what would that be? What is the one cab they could come out with, or multiple cabs that they could come out with, that would absolutely get you excited? Now, the only ground rule I have on this is I don't want you to say Arcade 1-Up should do this, or Basic Fun should do that. Let's keep it company neutral. Who cares who brings it out? Whether it's Iconic Arcade, whether it's Basic Fun, whether it's Arcade 1-Up. Arcade 1-Up did tease that they've got new IPs for 2026. So who knows what they have planned? Could still just be Hello Kitty, but who knows? Maybe it's something else. We'll just have to wait and see. But let's have some fun with this. if any one of these companies was to bring out a particular cab, what would it be? What would excite you? What would get you guys fired up again about home arcade and the home arcade community? And I know people are already starting to put stuff in the chat here. So what do we got? Forget a one up between Basic Fun and Iconic. One retailer tells me at least 3 never released titles later this year. Well, that's interesting to hear. So that would definitely be cool. Tekken or MK in XL sizes is certainly the dream for Paul. Get that 100%. Tekken, a lot of people love Tekken. A lot of people would love to see a Tekken. I think that is a cab that is, if you get the right PCB, if you get the right components for it, certainly doable. MK in an XL size, people have been talking that for a long time. If somebody can do it and somebody can actually do it and get MK4 in there, I think it would be a slam dunk. I think they would absolutely sell for sure. Mike Hall Kurtz, WrestleFest is a home run on the IP, but sounds like they are cutting corners on the software development, and with no Wi-Fi, hopefully they deliver a solid games list. We still don't know exactly what the games list is going to be on there, so that is for sure something that is going to make or break that cab. I do agree on the Wi-Fi thing to an extent. I do think that a lot of these cabs that have had Wi-Fi over the years have been from Arcade 1 Up have been hit or miss. Some cabs get a lot of play online. Some cabs get no play online. I'd like to see Wi-Fi on these things, at least for leaderboards, for updates, things like that. So that is a little bit disappointing. As far as online play, it's got to have the right infrastructure in order to make that happen. Bill puts everything, even my regretted posts. Well, be careful what you say, MG, because you just never know. We need some good racing cabs. Daytona, Crazy Taxi, Lucky and Wild. These are absolutely some really interesting things. I think Daytona would be fantastic. I think a lot of people have wanted a Daytona for a long time. That would be one for sure that I think people would love. Absolutely Crazy Taxi, absolutely Lucky and Wild. Again, when you're talking, real versus fantasy, Crazy Taxi is tough because of the music license in it, obviously. Curious if people would still be excited about Crazy Taxi if you're not going to have The Offspring and some of the other music in that game. Lucky and Wild is kind of interesting because it's that hybrid of driving and shooting. Absolutely, I think it's a doable one, but the control scheme makes it interesting unless you're going to do it and mix in a bunch of other driving and shooting games to go along with it. To have like a hybrid cab that's got a handful of driving and a handful of shooting games, I think would be really cool. Of course, you could also go from the perspective of it's a one and done cab like a T2 and whatever. I know some people don't care. Some people, if it's got the game they want, they don't care if it's the only game on the machine. Does it have to be a one game cab? No, it doesn't have to be. If so, Cubert, because it's so unique. If I could do a 6-game multicade, I'd have Battlezone, Robotron, Smash TV. It's sort of basically a twin stick shooter combo. Absolutely would be awesome. I do think somebody could certainly do a Robotron, Smash TV, Total Carnage cab for sure. I don't know about Battles. I forget who made did it. Was it who did Battlezone? Was it Atari? I don't think it's Midway or Williams or whatever. I don't remember off the top of my head. Somebody will definitely correct me in the chat for sure. As to whether or not you could put those on the same cab. Paul's back with Tekken, of course. Tekken XL or Neo Geo Big Red XL. I think that if somebody came out with a Neo Geo Big Red, especially if they do it in the XL cab, and they make it an a la carte machine where you could download the games that you want on it, even if you just limit them to Neo Geo games, make it like a true Big Red, and put any of the games you want on it, release games over time and whatever. Huge hit, huge hit. I think that would sell like crazy. Yeah, Fat Hog also brings up Lucky and Wild, another big one for sure. Biggie D brings up Afterburner. Afterburner, I think, is one for sure that people would love. I think you could probably find a couple of games to put on there from Sega Afterburner for sure. You could probably put Space Harrier on there and some other things as well. I think would be awesome. Anything from the Sega Naomi chapter would be very exciting for me. Power Stone. I would love to see some more of the Capcom Naomi type games go on a cab like that. Oh my God. I don't know how you do that in like a 3/4 or an XL cab. That is a big ass cab. That obviously it's a sit down shooter. If you've ever seen it in the arcades, holy crap, that would be crazy. Star Wars XL. Oh, excuse me. Star Wars XL for sure would be a big one. Now we think that's something coming from Basic Fun. Their Supreme line is supposed to be kind of like XL, so we will have to wait and see if that comes out for sure. I know a lot of people would love to see Star Wars Trilogy one come out. That's one that I would absolutely love to see for sure. Again, we get Crazy Taxi Daytona or Sega Rally. Sega Rally is another one that I think could definitely work. Cornucopia, of course, brings up Star Wars Trilogy. Of course, that would be awesome. Hydro Thunder would be really cool. Rotron, Street Fighter Third Strike, Street Fighter Alpha 3. So, and again, of course, with the Iconic, you're going to get Street Fighter Alpha. Doesn't that Iconic one have one of the Street Fighter Third Strike ones on it, like the final version of it? I think it does. Although, having, your own dedicated one would also be pretty cool. Mortal Kombat Ultimate XL, Ikari Warriors would definitely be cool as well. Gauntlet, Tekken, all the Tekkens in an XL, absolutely. Again, Hydro Thunder, a lot of people love Hydro Thunder. I think that one would be really cool. If they can, and again, with some of these, if you can get the right chipset and the right emulation to do up a game like Hydro Thunder, I think it's doable. This is one of those games that has been notoriously hard to emulate, but I do think that it is something that could potentially be possible, and people would absolutely love it. Operation Wolf, for sure, would be really cool. Steve Sale, My Dreams Cab would be Williams Baseball. That's interesting. James Hates Everything brings up Star Trek Arcade. Absolutely. Look, Star Wars, such an iconic cab. I think Star Trek is right up there with it. Another vector graphics game that I think would be really cool to see somebody make for sure. Unfortunately, sometimes I think Star Trek doesn't necessarily have the same mainstream pull that Star Wars does, but I like that Star Trek arcade game, and I think that would be an awesome one for sure. Best way to do Crazy Taxi is to allow users to add their own MP3 jukebox mode, clears all the licensing hurdles for Sega, dirt cheap IP otherwise. That's a possibility. That would be interesting if they can figure out a way to do that. I know, again, these companies get notoriously, not necessarily good with people bringing their own stuff to them like this. They like to lock that kind of stuff down, but it definitely would be one way to do it, so you could load it up with the original music from the game, assuming you owned it legally, and play it that way with that music in the background, or any music that you want. Cornucade wants Crystal Castle XL. Yep, another good one. That Crystal Castle cab is so gorgeous looking. I think if anybody made one, and again, I don't see why not with this Crystal Castle. We've seen, again, it's been on arcade 1-up machines in the past. I think that would be one that people would love. Even if you're not familiar so much with Crystal Castle, just looking at that cab would make you, possibly consider it because it just looks so damn cool. Of course, Michael B wants a Defender with proper controls and a Centipede with a vertical monitor. 100% agree with that. It is a shame that so far what we've seen of the Basic Fun one, that it's got that horizontal monitor on it. Again, you kind of understand it because we know there's going to be more games on it than Centipede, especially when you consider that Basic Fun has said that, kind of like the Atari 50th from Arcade 1-Up, that it is going to have a bunch of those 2600 console games on it. That's why it's got a joystick on it. Although I do believe James Hates Everything mentioned at one point that the Supreme one supposedly didn't have the joystick. It had a spinner instead, but that was supposedly a render. So we'll have to wait and see what really happens with these. But it is a shame. I would love to see a Centipede or a Tempest, or with the proper vertical monitor on it. Now, obviously, that Tempest countercade had a small vertical monitor on it, so it'll be interesting to see what else, if anything, is on that particular machine, and are they going to make a bigger version of that because they're going to make a countercade version of it? Does that mean we're also going to see the Deluxe and the XL or whatever they call them versions of that? Don't know. It could be that certain IPs and whatever get certain types from Basic Fun, and they're not going to run the whole line. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But I agree. I 100% agree on the vertical monitor. Unico / Media 1-Up is almost 100% doing Big Red. Probably, maybe. Well, if you've heard something, and you're right, I think that would be phenomenal. So, to your lips to God's ears, I really do hope that is something that we see at some point. Superman Arcade. Yeah, it's not the greatest game, but it is fun, and it would be interesting. That's for sure. I'd love to see Spider-Man, the Sega Spider-Man. I feel like that's one of the few Marvel games out there that we haven't seen, because it's not a Capcom game like so many of the others are, with that being a Sega game. But I'd love to see that one come out too. And that's another one that's a little hard to emulate. It needs a slightly more powerful chipset than some of the others, and I think a lot of that has to do with the Sega model board that they're using, and the fact that the screen actually zooms in and zooms out as you're playing. So it's a tough one. It can be a tough one to emulate, but if they get the proper chipset for it, that would be cool. I think Spider-Man would be awesome. Superman would be cool for sure. I bet Basic Fun does. It's possible. We will have to wait and see. I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of the games on the cabs they're putting out. I have a sneaking suspicion that Centipede is going to be very similar to the machines that Arcade 1-Up has put out. I just have a very sneaking suspicion that the games list is going to be very, very, very similar to that. I'd like to see a cost estimate for a cockpit option for a sit-down arcade like Star Wars or Pole Position. That would be interesting. That is for sure. Although I do feel like a lot of people did get like the sit-down Star Wars and turn it into a cockpit version with some modding and whatever. So that would be cool for sure. I do think it would be up there. I do think it would definitely make it more expensive than certainly the stand-up or even the normal sit-down version of it. Played a lot of Scud racing growing up. I apologize, J-Rod. I don't know what that is. So if you're arguing with us along, basically want to make these cabs. Yeah, we know. Stupid Fat Hobbit. Basic Fun could easily do single game releases for like $4.99. Spy Hunter Spy Hunter would be awesome. Of course, Afterburner. Paperboy, again, with the right controls, getting that the handlebar controls on it would be awesome. Off-road, my dream cab is Gauntlet Dark Legacy with online play. That would be a cool one for sure. An Off-Road Excel would be awesome. Yes, it would. Absolutely. Donkey Kong's a no-brainer for most people. It is unfortunate that it's probably never going to happen legitimately, but it would be a slam dunk. If somebody could make that happen, it would absolutely be a slam dunk. E. Mancini, good to see you. He said Gauntlet 4-player or Ghosts and Goblins. I die a happy man with those two in my man cave. Absolutely. I think Gauntlet, I love Gauntlet. Gauntlet's a lot of fun. It'd be nice to see I don't think we've gotten, even the versions that Arcade 1-Up has put out, it was on, right, it was on the 3-player Rampage, and then it's been on a bunch of cabs that were 1 or 2-player. So we haven't really seen it in a 4-player version. So I think that would absolutely be awesome. How about some whatever you want. Whatever you want. Doesn't necessarily have to be retro. But again, modern games are certainly harder to do because of the, the hardware requirements on them. How about a Vertex cab with a portrait mounted 19-inch vector graphics CRT and all the the Vectrex games. I don't know how cost prohibitive putting a Vectrex monitor on a cab would be, although I know you can find the old Vectrex gaming system for $400, $500, $600 for sure. From what I understand, the games themselves are all basically public domain, so the licensing is nothing. It would be the monitor itself. But I think if somebody did it with a real Vectrex monitor and not just an LCD monitor with the Vectrex graphics on it, like the Star Wars have been, that would be so cool. That would absolutely be so cool. Let's see. Superman's a great looking cab. Art is fantastic. Spider-Man is great too. Agree on that. Gotham City Arcade is here. He got the late pass from the office. Oh, good. You'll have to go back and watch the rest of the show for sure, though. But of course, always good to see you. Glad you could make it. Paul coming in with Soul Calibur of that wasn't built in some guy's car. Yeah. Well, that's the thing with so many of these. I mean, you could certainly, buy a multicade or make your own versions of these for sure. But I wanted to have fun with the idea of some of these companies coming out with just legitimate licensed versions of these with the right artwork, with all the setup, everything on them. That's why, you haven't heard me bring up Glenn's FU cab, obviously. I'm trying to keep it to, like I said, these companies that are known for their replica versions of arcades. Obviously, we know they're not always 100% replicas and things like that, but you get my meaning on that. Full Star Wars environmental cab would probably be my dream cab. Getting to climb into the cockpit of an X-Wing was my favorite place as a kid. Stand-up arcade scratches the itch, but I absolutely get that. Gauntlet is still at midway. It won't touch Gauntlet. Interesting. Okay. I'd be quite happy with a dedicated Gauntlet 1 art cab with all the 80s and 90s games on it. Yeah, I think that would be cool. How about a mashup cab with Golden Tee and half a dozen crap midway games? I thought about that the other day, and I did post in the chat, I think in Michael B's show, although he didn't see it or bring it up, which is fine. That happened. I know from watching this. It's so hard to find all the different chat and bring up different things. But I do think it's kind of, how many people think out there have thought about this? It's kind of funny that supposedly, and again, this is supposedly, Arcade went up through a cease and desist at Iconic Arcade with their Street Fighter cab and whatever, for whatever reason, whatever the cease and desist has to do with it, games list, make of the cap, whatever. But they go out and they basically rip off a Chicago gaming company cab to make that bastardized Midway Golden Tee. I mean, god damn, the logo on it is practically the same as the logo on the Chicago gaming company cabs that they put out for years with that Golden Tee shape on it. They've got the audacity to throw a cease and desist at another company when they completely ripped off Chicago Gaming Company with that cab. Oh, I actually think that's pretty funny, and it takes that kudos Arcade went up. That takes balls. All right, guys, I'm getting caught up on the chat. I want to wind down here because it's a little after 9. I know Arcades Anonymous have started their show, but thank you guys so much for participating in this. I think this was a lot of fun. I'm hoping that this got you guys thinking. You know, again, there's always so much crap and different things. I was hoping when a Baseman does, they give us at least 2 new licenses a year, 4 to 5 total. That business mode they can endure the next 5 years. Again, we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, I'm hoping that with some of these new cabs that are coming out, that things do start to get reinvigorated, and that maybe we'll see something of a resurgence in the home arcade community going into 2026. Now, it all just depends on if these things really do come out, if they come out on time, if they do well, and things like that. But I thought, wouldn't it be fun to just say, what if? If the sky's the limit, no license is off the table, if we can get games like WrestleFest, if we can get Street Fighter Alpha, Street Fighter 3, if we can get games like that, what else could possibly be out there? Last couple of things before I wind down completely. I get excited for Iconic to feature Ken and Spike on a future Street Fighter cab. It is a 99-2000 action arcade game where you can play as Cammy. Okay, I don't think I know that one as well. I'm going to have to check that one out for sure. A1 up to the fourth largest. Yeah, okay. Lovely show. Film. I'm going for a sneaky movement before it gets late. You do you, MG. Thank you, Bill. See you next Wednesday for Glenn's FU. Yes, don't forget that next week I am going to have Glenn's retro show on with me, whether we do it, you know, this style where I just have him come on with me, or whether I actually sneak over to his secret lair and do it from his place, which is definitely something we're talking about. Be with us next Wednesday as we count down to the launch of the GRS Build-A-Cade FU. Show starts Wednesday the 25th at 8 with the official launch of the Kickstarter at 9 o'clock that night. So be there next week. Thank you guys so much for stopping by, for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please go ahead, give me a like, give me a thumbs up before you leave, before you head on over to Arcades Anonymous or whatever you're going to do for the rest of the night. And I will see you guys next week. In the meantime, as always, take care and happy gaming.